Welcome back to Empowered in Tech, Women in Tech Netherlands, the podcast, the show where we amplify the voices and journeys of women shaping the future of tech and beyond. I'm your host, Ilaria Severi, expert in branding, social media, marketing, you name it. And today we're diving into a story that's all about resilience, grit, and pure determination. So first of all, I want to say that I wanted to bring this story to you because it really resonates with me on a personal level. You know, when I first came to the Netherlands myself, because I'm originally from Italy, I lived in other countries, but I moved here. And I moved here at this point almost 9 years ago. And same as the guest of today, I didn't have any connections. I didn't know anybody. I came here to study, to take my master at Erasmus University in Rotterdam, which I did. But again, it was just a bit of a leap of faith. I knew I came from a different background because I studied languages, but I understood that my path was more towards marketing, communication, branding. But of course, still the path was not clear. I just knew, okay, if I want to do that, maybe I need a specialization. And that's when I found this amazing master in Rotterdam, and that's when I applied and I got in. This is the short story. The long story is that I applied to a lot of different masters in the Netherlands and outside, and I got accepted to this and to another one, and I eventually chose Rotterdam. Why I'm saying all this is because, again, I feel very connected to today's story. I also had to carve my own way, same as our guest, Stefana, did. So Stefana Sopco, she's our guest of today. And her journey also moved me because, like I said, it mirrors the same spirit of perseverance, of building your own path. She also came to the Netherlands with, just 80 euros in her pocket. Maybe I had a little more, but that was the amount more or less. Fresh from working 80-hour weeks between corporate tutoring and freelance writing just to make ends meet. Her story of turning nothing into something extraordinary is what inspired me to have her on our show today. And it's also thanks to a post she wrote recently on LinkedIn. I saw that and I was like, this is the story I want to tell today. Nowadays, Stefana is the marketing manager and spokesperson for Women in Tech Netherlands, also marketing manager for a leader in maritime sustainability with PortXchange, or the company is called PortXchange, and a 2-time 40 under 40 honoree at the Global Tank Storage Awards. She's been recognized as a responsible AI leader nominee by Women in AI&L and listed among the top 100 worldwide influencers in tank storage. But her journey to get there was anything but easy. Through grit and a strategic shift to networking, she broke into the industry and built a name for herself, ultimately becoming a leader in sustainability and tech. Before I welcome our today's guest, I also need to mention our amazing sponsor, thanks to which this podcast is possible. Indeed, again, a big thank you to DMN Westinghouse for supporting this podcast and helping amplifying the voices of women in tech to a broader audience. As a company committed to diversity and inclusion, they are not only supporting the conversation, but actively working to close the gender gap within their organization. With only 16 to 18% of STEM roles filled by women, their support makes a real difference in driving awareness and representation. If you're interested in being part of their mission, then go and explore their roles and connect with them, DMN Westinghouse, on LinkedIn. Well, finally, Stefana, I'm so thrilled to have you here today. Welcome to our podcast. I'm so excited to tell your story, our story, if I can say. Of course, each one of us has a different story with different characteristics, but I feel that there we have a lot of in common.
Thank you so much, Ilaria, and thank you so much for this wonderful introduction.
Well, it's so true. It's so true. It's there. So
I really appreciate it. And I also have to give you a shout out for making this podcast a reality and bringing even more value to our Netherlands chapter. So thank you so much for that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think that we have so many valuable stories in our beautiful community, and I felt like someone has to bring these stories to life. So that's why we're here today. So we said it at the beginning. It's a very inspiring story, a story of success. Yeah, from the moment you came here with barely any money. Can you tell us more about that story? Because, we like to tell success stories, but we also like to tell the truth, right? Because
Absolutely.
otherwise, everything we see out there sounds so amazing, but there is a lot to dig before the amazing part, right? So,
Absolutely.
what were those first months like for you, and how did you keep pushing forward despite all the setbacks that I imagine there were?
Yeah. So I think I would like to begin with the fact that I'm originally from Romania, so I'm Eastern European. I've never imagined moving to another country, never
Hmm.
imagined moving to the Netherlands. I didn't know anything about the Netherlands except about the red neighborhood in Amsterdam. That was the only.
The famous one, yeah.
Yes. And I was, let's not say extremely happy in what I was doing in Romania career wise. I've always done marketing, but I was working in a big corporate, quite a toxic work environment. But I was at the beginning of my career, so I really had to move the needle. I thought I have to suck it up and move forward. But I created this box for myself and I was afraid
Mm.
to get out of it. On the other side of the table, I had my partner. At that time, he was my boyfriend. Now he's my husband for
Hmm.
some time. He was not happy with the box. So he wanted to get out of the box where he was. And he's the bravest one among us. And one day he just put his CV on a website and he got all these interviews from all around the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he chose the Netherlands. He came here for an interview. Everything happened in less than 3 weeks' time. And
Wow.
yes, and he said, okay, I'm going. So,
Bye.
yeah, he came without me because I didn't want to go just yet. But time passed and we realized, okay, our relationship, in order to survive, I will have to do this move as well. So I was working full time in an IT corporation as a marketing specialist. After work, I was tutoring children. And
Mm.
after the tutoring, I was doing freelancing for different kind of projects, predominantly in writing. And like you said, and like I said in my post, I was working 80 hours a week just to make sure that I have enough money to live, to pay the bills, to pay the rent, so on and so forth.
Because of course, I mean, maybe what a lot of people may not realize, people who are listening to us in Romania, salaries are not like in the Netherlands.
No,
So,
absolutely. My salary at that time, 7 years ago, was a little bit below 500 euros. So
for a full-time job.
for a full-time job, exactly. I have a master's degree and all that, so highly educated and still. So to have a little bit above that, so to reach around 650, 700, more or less, I needed to do all the other stuff after work. So my partner was not happy with that. He saw beyond our struggles and all that. So he came here, and after 2 months and a half, I also came here. It was a very quick move, but very shocking from
Mm.
from different things there. And I came here knowing nothing. We barely found a place to stay, as you know. We actually found a rent one day before I arrived here.
Wow.
Yes, it
Talk
was,
about timing.
yeah. I had 80 euros cash in my pocket. That's it. And we had to borrow some money, of course, when my husband came here. And I was 100% sure, Ilaria, that I will get a job in a month because
Yeah,
I had my references.
of course.
I've been working in corporate. Before that, I worked for a while in an agency, and I was too confident. Life humbled me. I also came with some handicaps, like I used to call them. I wasn't always put in the situation to speak in English, so I was not sure of my English at that point,
Okay.
verbally,
Okay.
oral speaking. I was quite unsure. And one thing that I never thought of, but then it was pointed out to me, I will get to it later in the story, it was my accent. And
Mm.
once I became aware of the accent, I had even more struggles. But that came a little bit
Well,
later on. I really want to say that story. It's an interesting one. So for 6 months, full time, if not more, from 8 o'clock in the morning until late in the evening, sometimes even in the night, I would just apply to jobs, look for jobs, personalize CVs, personalize cover letters. You know how it is.
yeah, yeah. The whole deal.
The whole deal. And I was, exhausted of that. I started hating it because the no's would come one after the other. Even though I had maybe a first call or something like that, it started to feel like a handicap. And it started to feel like I'm losing momentum as well for myself. I felt like in those stories, getting older in 1 week, like in a year. And I was very scared that I would become irrelevant as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Of course, I mean that's the typical feeling, but also I think it's like a whole process. I feel you. I've been through that as well, and at some point, it's like it's not even humbling. It's really pushing down your confidence because at that point you're like, okay, but then what's my worth? Or like, why I get the no's, but why so many? And
exactly.
yeah, and that lack of confidence is of course a burden, and it's not definitely helping. It's actually counterproductive in that
Yeah.
sense. So it becomes like a very malice cycle
Yeah.
that it's really hard to break. But then I mean, after these well, quite long struggle, you said you decided to change your strategy and you started doing networking, going to networking event, and that one decision changed everything. Can you tell us more about this experience and what clicked for you that day? Then you
Yes.
went to this event.
So, first, it started with the fact that my relationship was deteriorating because I would unconsciously hate my partner because he was going
Mm,
to work and I was
of course.
a housewife, which is okay for people, for women who want to be, but I didn't want to be. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
really
yeah.
attacked myself in that way. But I remember exactly when that click happened. It was, we had 2 weeks left to hit that 6 months. That was my target, 6 months.
Okay, that was your deadline.
That was my deadline. And I received an email with a no from a company that I absolutely adored. And the role was perfect for me. And I
Yeah,
knew I would.
you were checking all the boxes.
Oh my God. I still think of that role from time to time. Yes.
I have a couple of companies in my head like that I was like, I check all the boxes, but still.
Yes, yes. And we were in the center of Breda where I live. And I just got a coffee and I got that email and I just fell down. I just fell down on the floor because it was the cherry on top. I mean, even for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
most
yeah.
perfect roles where I have everything, still a
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah.
And I just fell down crying. It was the first time I actually cried. I sobbed like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In desperation, of
yeah,
course.
yeah, because I realized at that point, this is it. We have to go back to Romania. Otherwise, I will lose myself. And then I went home and I just looked around at events, what it is to do next, because I was already thinking, okay, we're leaving the Netherlands. And then I saw a networking event from internationals
Mm,
in Breda. And I said, okay, internationals, great. I saw there were some Romanians there.
okay.
I wrote a message to one of the girls who had a Romanian name, quickly shared my story with her. And she said, hey, let's meet at this event, which after that turned into a more business meeting, because instead of going to that event per se, I went to meet her, to do some networking with her and her husband, who was the owner of a company in Breda. So we met in a very formal way, though, to have a little bit of a conversation, career-wise, work-wise, etc. We drank 2 glasses of prosecco, and after the 2 glasses of prosecco, everyone chilled down a little bit, so we were more comfortable with one another. And the CEO of that company where I worked at invited me over on Monday by the company to have a look and to participate in a presentation, to share my thoughts after, things like that. And I was.
And this was the husband of the woman you met. Okay. It was
Correct.
the CEO of the
The
company.
CEO,
Okay.
yes. So on Monday, this happened on Friday. So it was Friday afternoon. On Monday, I went there for that presentation that they had in front of the team about the product. And afterwards, they invited me for lunch so I can share my thoughts on the product and all that. So I did. And then later in the afternoon, I got another text from her. Would you like to start with us from tomorrow onwards and have a trial and all that? So I was over the top.
Of course.
Especially because it was there in Breda, super close to me. It was, oh my God, could this be it? It was surreal. It was really surreal. And I went there on Tuesday, met everyone. And from that point on, I stayed there for 2 years almost. And it really changed everything. It was almost a shock, because I had 6 months of doing the additional applying and all that, to going on Facebook, looking for events, finding an event, seeing the name of a Romanian person in the people who participate to the event, sending her a message, going for drinks, and then a job 3 days later. And
yeah, but that's a great example of how, well, we all know it. The job market nowadays, same as it was 7 years ago and even more today, it's saturated. So how do you differentiate yourself from the crowd? There is no one rule fits all, for sure. You have to find your way. But I was also recently talking to a friend, and this guy has so much experience also in very huge companies, big corporates, famous ones globally. And he also struggled. And he said, for me, the best way has always been by networking. And eventually, because how do you differentiate yourself in this market? Because, maybe you have a great curriculum, but I mean, we live in a country with a lot of skilled people, highly skilled people, knowledgeable, who speak multiple languages, who have traveled the world. So here the competition is fierce, let's be honest. So people need to know you. If they know you, of course they can vouch for you as well.
Yeah, and I should maybe also mention that I never had to send them my CV.
Yeah, I mean, that's hilarious, I would say, to the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
They never had my CV. Of course, they had my diplomas when we signed the contract and all that.
Yeah.
But other than that, they no CV, no looking at my recommendations. Just 2 glasses of prosecco, maybe 3.
See? That's the magic of prosecco.
I'm telling you.
Well, we know I think it's one of the most profitable businesses in Italy, so we know really well. But hey, you mentioned about the accent part.
Yes.
And you said I wanted to talk more about that. Is this the moment that you realize about it? Oh, really? Tell us more.
This is the moment, but I never realized. It was pointed out to me. It had never become a handicap. But this first workplace was, it was my ramp that launched me. but it was also one of the most difficult periods of my life, which affected my health tremendously. I was very, very
Mm.
sick. I, I developed a horrible depression because the people who were there to protect me and the people who first helped me in the beginning, still grateful for that, but they really took advantage of this and they made
Mm.
it like, now you owe me for life and now you're my puppy and all that. And when I started showing up my skills and building up relationship with the rest of the team and really creating a place for me and a little bit of a reputation for me in the company, these same people starting to point out some things that they wanted to tame it down. So the
Oh,
first one,
really?
so the first one was the accent, and I will never forget because now I use it as a powerful tool.
Of
The
course.
line that was said to me, Stefana, with your strong Eastern European accent, you cannot go to this type of events because people will not take you seriously, or it's better if you don't go to that meeting because your
Oh my
Eastern
God.
European accent, coming from an Eastern European
Yeah, also.
person,
Yeah.
a Romanian person as well.
Yeah, yeah,
we,
yeah,
we we
yeah.
were supposed to be like sisters, but yeah, that happened. And then it was that part broke me for a long period of time. That was the
I can
first,
imagine.
yeah, that was the first hit that slowly took away my voice, because later on I was very active on LinkedIn still, and part of my personal brand, I really wanted to build it and share my
Yeah, yeah.
experience as an expat and all that. But from time to time, like anyone else, even super experienced writers, I would have a typo or two. And please mind it that this was the first time I was writing in English
In English. Okay.
constantly, and my tone of voice was new to English and all that. I remember I was mocked, bullied almost in front of the entire team, saying that, Stefana, maybe you should stop writing because there are some typos in your posts, or it's clear that English is not your first language in which to write to, and all that. So that was the second hit. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my oral voice was already tamed down, and now my writing voice was also shut down.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for a long period of time, lots of therapy and some really great new managers coming at my next job, I was silenced. I didn't have a voice anymore. I didn't post
Wow.
anything anymore.
It's so hard for me to imagine that because I've known you, I think, at your brightest. So I know you for being like very outspoken, very, out there writing and not really also caring, I feel like, which is
Yeah.
great, what how people may perceive it or like what people may think. Always respectful, of course, but
Yes.
so wow, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I think nobody deserves to go through that.
Yes, it was really a dark period at that point. I developed a very, very dark depression for a long period of time. And ironically, the pandemic saved me.
Really?
The pandemic saved me because what did I do the second week after the pandemic, where we were already told to never leave our houses and all
Yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah.
I started a blog
Okay.
and I was impersonating my cats, Gin and Tonic, the cats.
Oh, really?
That's the blog's name, Tales with Gin and Tonic, the cats. So I would write short stories like they were telling them.
Okay.
And
It was like a sort of therapy,
exactly.
writing therapy.
And everything in English and all that. So
Okay.
I was taking back that thing that I loved the most. That was my career before that, writing. And And then I got laid off because after 2 years, a permanent contract and all that, I was laid off like many others. And it was a relief.
Because of COVID.
The laying off was because of COVID. And I remember when I got that call and I did this after.
Yeah, you felt like the weight on your shoulders being relieved.
Yes, because I never had the courage to leave that toxic place because of the PTSD of the 6 months of not finding a job.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid I would go back to that. I stayed in that place, getting all in.
But also that's the problem with toxic places. They are hard to leave.
Yes.
I know. I also know about similar situations for myself, and somehow it's like the worse you feel, but to a certain extent, the more attached to it you feel, right? So yeah, sometimes, well, life works around and things go for the right way.
It really was. It was exactly the cliche, the definition of cliche. Something better will come around the corner, and it really did in just 2 weeks' time because I started applying, but strategically to jobs.
Okay.
But funny enough, the job that I applied for was in Dutch, and
Okay.
initially it even required Dutch, and I do not speak Dutch, and at that point I did not speak a word actually. But I really enjoyed the job description, and I said, you know what, I will apply to it just because
I'll
it
just
was,
give it a try.
yes,
Yeah.
it was quick apply on LinkedIn and all that. I got a call right away. Went through the process very quickly, an interview with the manager, then, a little bit of an assignment, which I did over the weekend, and then the final interview with the manager and the future CEO, not even the CEO that was at that point. And after, on a Friday again, everything happens on Fridays.
Apparently.
Yes, it was a beautiful day outside because it was in May, as I recall, something like that. And they said, Stefana, we would really love you. I was also on the round with Dutch speakers, and they decided to go for me. And they
Even though you were not speaking Dutch.
And they also switched the language within the company to English officially to accommodate me.
Wow.
And they even gave me more money than I asked for, because at that point I was so afraid to ask for something more out of fear to be rejected. They gave me more. And that's how the journey of 4 years at SmartFlow, I can say their name because I'm proud that I worked there for 4 years, started. And it was one of the most uplifting periods. That's where I worked my way up to the 2x 40 under 40 awards and the top 100 tank storage influencers and the responsible AI nominee, because I had the context and the space to build myself. And what I said earlier, that it took lots of therapy and good managers to find my voice again. The role implied 80% writing.
Wow.
In English and tech. So it was like the universe told me, you know what? We're going to put you right in the middle of the action because we ain't feeling this vibe, girl. We ain't feeling it. So, and for, I remember 6 to 8 months, my manager at that point, he really took his time and patience to understand how I am and give me constructive feedback, never, negative or something like that, only constructive.
Yeah.
Listen to me and all that, build up my confidence. But that also came because I was very honest with them. I told them, I'm coming with lots of PTSD. Please be aware of this, etc., etc.
I think that's probably when we talk about also strategies and new jobs or jobs in general. Honesty, it's always the right way to go. If on the other side you meet smart people, good people, they will appreciate and make sense of that and use the honesty to build a stronger relationship. If the intention are not good or the place is not right, then yeah, maybe honesty will be, let's say, faced as a pushback, but that's also an answer. Sometimes you just need, like, if you are yourself and you're honest, then if it doesn't work out, that's probably not the right place for you,
Yeah. And at
right?
that point, I didn't have anything else to lose. I mean,
Yeah,
I was bullied. I was almost mentally abused. What else can you give me? I mean, you won't accept the fact that I have PTSD. What can I do about it? I have.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And because it was the pandemic, also the dynamics were different, right? I was mostly remote and we rarely met, but that didn't slow us down into building a very nice relationship. And again, the 4 years were not only pink and strawberries and all that.
Of course, but I mean, that's life, right? So
Yes.
there's no perfect path.
Exactly, and many challenges along the way. But what mattered was that I was quite empowered to be who I was. And
And that's it, I think.
that was it.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
really it.
yeah,
I never got, you should take me down of that, or you should take, or your accent, or a typo, or whatever.
yeah, yeah. Wow, Stefana, what a story. I mean, I don't want to cut you off. It's just that we know we have our time for the podcast for each episode. But before saying goodbye, I really want to use this last question to ask you, what would you tell to the women, but also the men listening to us, listening to our podcast? Let's say, based on your story, your experiences, what advice would you give them? Let's say, on one side, if they are currently struggling, and I would say struggling, even if they are looking for a job that is not in marketing, because I believe right now many people are struggling. And also, what advice specifically would you give? So, actually, it's two questions, to people building their career in marketing.
Yes. So, very good to mention that after these 4 years, I was headhunted next to my current job at PortXchange. So, it got even easier after.
Yeah,
I didn't have to do that much. My advice that I give all the time after the past 7 years plus the 3-4 years in Romania working is never expect someone to give you the seat at the table. You have to grab it for you. Never expect people to keep track of everything that you're doing. Keep
yeah,
the track yourself
yeah, and show it.
and super show it. I mean, build that personal brand, put it out there no matter what. And don't be somebody else than you are. Do not let them dictate who you are. Do
Yeah,
not let them ship shape you the way it's more convenient for them and not
yeah,
for you.
yeah, yeah,
Spot the signs and don't allow that. Don't be a man if you're not a man. Don't act more like a man if you're not a man. And no matter the accent, no matter how fluent you are in the language, just speak it, just put it out there. Nobody cares. Actually, everyone is inspired by great stories, and people don't
yeah,
even mind your accent or whatever. It's a metaphor for the accent now.
yeah, yeah.
And for people working in marketing, because I have a couple of mentees under my wings, upskill. Do not sleep very relaxed,
Yeah, yeah.
especially nowadays. Upskill with every opportunity
Keep
you have.
learning.
Yes, and don't overestimate yourself also, but don't underestimate yourself either. And network. Just go to all these events at Women in Tech Netherlands. We have so many free
Exactly.
events. Just show up.
I would like indeed to mention next to this the next event, Cloud9, super nice event, chill vibe. It's on a Wednesday after work in Amsterdam. Is gonna be the next one, the 4th of June. Wednesday, 4th of June, after, well, starting 5:30 p.m. at the Groen Paleis or Grote Paleis. It's just outside of Rokin metro station. So even if you're coming from other cities, you just get to Central, then take a metro, one stop, Rokin, it's there. So definitely free event. You get to meet a lot of amazing people. So definitely recommend it.
Yeah. And one last line, on June 13, I will be live for our second Lunch and Learn session. So we will actually dig a little bit deeper into what it means to be your true self at work and how you should not shrink yourself for others. I really hope you will join us June 13 from 12. So it will be live on Zoom. We will post everything on our LinkedIn on Women in Tech Netherlands.
Amazing. Well, Stefana, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story in the most honest way. And thank you for, being part of this podcast.
Thank you so much, Ilaria. And it's always great to have a platform to share the stories. And I'm sure there are so many amazing people listening to us they are walking stories.
Yeah. Yeah. And to all our listeners, I really hope that Stefana's journey serves as a reminder that your current situation does not define your future. And please, if you're feeling down right now, if you feel you're not going to push through, you are. And remind yourself where you are today is not going to define where you are tomorrow. Because see, sometimes things can turn from one day to another. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review on Spotify. There is the possibility to leave how much you like our podcast. Please do it, because that would mean the world to us, to me, that I'm putting like my efforts to make these podcasts as great as possible. And don't forget to follow Women in Tech Netherlands on LinkedIn and visit our website to stay connected with our community. Until next time, keep pushing, keep striving, and keep making your mark.